Happy holidays, everyone. Corey Geiger, Neil Rudel. Thought this would be a good time with the NFL offseason approaching to spend some time talking about the rumors surrounding Bill O'Brien potentially leaving Penn State to go to the NFL, Neil. And we'll get to some of our visual aid here in just a second.
I thought this was our post-Wisconsin show.
There you go, right.
We forgot to do one out there.
Well, yeah, we were traveling after Wisconsin, but we kind of thought that this was going to happen, that Bill O'Brien's name was going to be mentioned for some of these NFL jobs. As long as he's at Penn State, I think he's going to be rumored.
Right. Yeah, it's it's interesting that it's very delicate, I would think, and I'll be curious to learn what he's telling recruits, how much that's coming up, because you would think if you're the dad, a parent of one of these kids that's getting ready to send their kid off to Penn State, you're being recruited one minute and you turn on the radio the next, or you open a paper the next, and of course Bill O'Brien's name is widely being discussed as a potential for an NFL job. So I'm sure that's something that he has to diffuse with these recruits. So assuming that he's doing that, to me, the strategy of how this is playing out is he's the hottest coach in the Big Ten, bar none. His reputation is better than everybody's in the Big Ten as far as respect, being in demand. Now you have Urban Meyer out there. Well, I mean, just generally speaking, as far as being a guy who's highly thought of and in demand.
Okay, let's get to two main points in this whole discussion first and foremost. I do think he wants an NFL job. Would you just agree with that? Yeah, at some point he's going to want to be an NFL coach.
Well, once or would take.
He aspires to that at some point in his career.
I don't think he's made any secret about that.
Right. Okay. So that's a given. Number two is
I don't know that means he wants that right now.
Correct.
I think that may depend on what job it is.
That's correct, and we'll get to more of that in a second. The other given, I think, in this whole discussion is he likes Penn State. I would venture to go as far as to say he loves being at Penn State and the immediate future of what being at Penn State could offer. He likes Happy Valley. His wife and his family are there. This is not about necessarily anything that he doesn't like with regards to Penn State if he's looking at some of these jobs, because with Christian Hackenberg, with the sanctions being reduced, there are a lot of reasons for Bill O'Brien to believe he can really get it going at Penn State for the next few years.
Yeah, to a large degree he already has. How he's established that program in the wake of what they've had to go through and how he held the program together has been remarkable. Yeah, obviously there have been a couple games that have gotten away from him for various reasons. He's still relatively young head coach, but that said, also there's some uncertainty at Penn State. He doesn't know who he's going to be working for in another year.
AD and the president.
Yeah. So, I think there's a lot of moving parts in the whole situation. He's in a he's preparation could potentially meet opportunity, whether that means staying at Penn State or if the right situation opened at Penn State where he said, wow, in the NFL where he said, well, I'd be foolish not to look at it. He's obviously somebody who doesn't want to close doors.
So what is the right situation? That's what we're going to look at here. Okay, these are the 10 NFL jobs that potentially could come open over the next couple of weeks. The Raiders, Dennis Allen.
I feel like I'm with John Gruden.
May or may not be out. I don't think he's taking the Raiders job. We can cross that off the list.
What about coaching Matt McGloin?
That's a terrible job. He's not going to the Raiders. The Titans, I think
I don't think any NFL job.
So you think
is a terrible job
for Bill O'Brien? You think he's interested in the Tennessee Titans, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, or the Minnesota Vikings?
Great jobs, but I would not scoff at any. If somebody wanted to hire anybody I don't know that I would classify it as.
I think that these four are completely and totally 100% out of the picture, because if he stays at Penn State, he can get better than these four.
Yeah.
This is an interesting one. I don't think he's going to want to work with that circus under Jerry Jones in Dallas. I think we can cross these five off the list immediately.
But I would say that more because of geographically, Bill has spent his whole career on the East Coast. He was ready to take the Notre Dame offensive coordinator job about 10 years ago under O'Leary, so he was willing to move to the Midwest. But between his college days and in the NFL, he's been on the East Coast. his family, his wife's family, they're all from New England.
Right.
You know, to me, if he was offered the Cowboys job, I don't think he's just going to hang up the call and say thanks, but no thanks.
It might
I think
be
he's
hard.
really going to consider that. But
is he going to want to work for Jerry Jones?
Maybe not, but you know, the next guy Jerry Jones brings in, Jerry Jones is the common denominator. I mean, you think eventually he's going to pull back and say, hey, you know what, maybe I will stay up in the booth. I won't come down on the sideline. I won't be quoted after every game in the locker room. But I don't think Bill O'Brien, I don't think any coach would immediately dismiss the Dallas Cowboys.
There's a lot of money, but I just don't think
But
he would
I think
take it.
geographically, with his family situation, I don't know that he's ready to move to Texas.
So we're gonna put a check mark by this and get back to that one later because of Neil's geography thing. I don't think Tom Coughlin is going to be out. They're not going to fire him, and I don't think he's going to retire just yet. So I think that one's off the board.
I don't know that it is because next year's
You think
last
they're
year.
gonna fire him?
Next year's the last year. I didn't say that. Next year's the last year of his contract. He may, having won a Super Bowl, he may say, you know what, I don't want to go into the last year of his contract, and they're saying, well, we don't know if we want to extend it.
If it's on the board, this is number one for Bill O'Brien. Would you agree with that? That's the best job. Northeast, great franchise. Would you agree on these 10? That would be if
I think
Coughlin
that would
was
be an
there.
outstanding opportunity.
Okay, the Jets.
I think that
Crazy
would be
situation.
a very interesting opportunity
Okay.
because you're going to be playing New England in your
Yep.
own division.
I think
so
this is a play.
maybe, you know, okay, maybe he's not the New England situation, but do you like competing, being a rival? I don't know. I mean, I think it would be kind of interesting.
Dan Snyder. Would he want to work for Daniel Snyder? Who really, he has this reputation of being a Jerry Jones kind of owner from 5-10 years ago, but I don't think that that's really so much the case that he's that meddlesome now. Would he take that over if Mike
Somebody
Shanahan is
said
running
that, is it true that Griffin, they had dinner at Snyder's house?
That very
or
well
something?
may be true, but, you know, as Bill O'Brien, do you think he would want to step into that situation?
Potentially. I think Bill O'Brien probably looks at all these quarterbacks
Yeah.
and thinks that he can further development for sure Schaub.
Which
There's
is why
Stafford is
Matthew
excellent.
Stafford,
Yeah.
right here, with Megatron, Matthew Stafford, Nick Fairley, and Ndamukong Suh on defense, I think the Detroit Lions could potentially be in an NFC championship game next year if Bill O'Brien decides that that's a situation he would want to go to.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, you know, Bill O'Brien's gotten to be very good friends with Matt Millen. So they just did a show together, and I know Millen watches a lot of tape with them. They've carved a relationship. Matt Millen obviously has a great history in Detroit. He would be an excellent resource for Bill O'Brien.
Would he want to move to Detroit?
No, I mean, Detroit's really not that far away.
I think so. This, to me, is number 2. This would be 1 if it's open. This, to me, is number 2 on the entire board.
I don't see Bill O'Brien maybe going that far away.
They're 2-12. They're going to pick in the top 2 or 3 in the draft. Yeah. He could pick whoever he wants if he wants another franchise core. Some people thought they were going to the Super Bowl this year. Now, it fell apart in a hurry. Yeah. You saw what happened with Andy Reid turning around the Chiefs in a hurry. The Dolphins situation turned around in a hurry. I think Bill O'Brien, your geography, is he going to want to move to Houston, Texas? There are some family issues with the special needs child. Is he going to want to move? I think if he were willing to, that is a terrific job right there.
Sure, and a lot of these places, you know, you wonder, you know, do you want to be the guy that follows the legend? All these places need help, or their jobs wouldn't be opening. So, you know, I think, you know, any NFL opportunity would be intriguing. You know, obviously these couple with Giants, if it opens, you know, I think most people felt if New England would open, it would be something that he was very interested in. But at the same time, if he can continue to build for another year or two,
then
or
maybe,
whatever,
then maybe
State,
this one comes open in a year or 2 with the Giants. Or maybe Belichick in 3. The bottom line, the reason we did this...
I mean, the work that Bill O'Brien has done, I don't think, and with Hackenberg there, and the kind of offense they play, and now some of these sanctions, some of them are lifted, and the fact that the Big Ten is reasonably negotiable, I don't think it's out of the question that Bill O'Brien could be challenging for, you know, a top 5 to be in the top Final 4 of the BCS in
3 or 4
2
years.
to 3 years.
And that's why we said at the beginning, there are a lot of reasons for him to stay at Penn State. But of the 10 jobs, I just don't think he's taking any of these 5. And these are questionable. I think, and I don't think that one's opening. Of the 10, I don't know that they're
Yeah,
any more
but
than.
we
And
also-
then, are they going to be interested in him? He is. He has been contacted by the Texans, and I think the Lions. So the bottom line is, we can speculate all we want, but there really only might be 2 or 3 situations where he would be a fit, and
just
that
a
might
lot
be
of wild
interested in
cards.
him.
Chip Kelly's name has already been mentioned
Philly,
in college.
right.
You know, Bill has already talked to the Eagles, so there could be some wild cards in the mix
Absolutely.
that we don't know about.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because we're going to be doing this every year as long as he's at Penn State. My gut is he's going to be back at Penn State.
Unless he would make a declaration, and I don't think
But he's not going to do that.
Well, he's not going to do that for sure when he doesn't know who he's going to work for.
Well,
maybe they bring in
these jobs aren't open yet. These jobs won't be open for 2 weeks.
Right.
It does Bill O'Brien no good to say anything to declare.
No, I'm talking about in a year or two. You know, your family becomes a little bit more entrenched in the community. You decide, hey, this college thing is really agreeing with me.
But see, that's where
he
my
has
point
job
is.
security.
I think he wants to be in the NFL. I think he wants to be an
He
NFL
very
coach.
well might. But in the NFL, wasn't Frazier in Minnesota the NFC Catcher of the Year last year?
And that's where I think it's very dangerous for Bill, because wherever he might think about going, Leslie Frazier was one of the best coaches in the NFL last year with the Vikings. He might get fired this year.
Yeah,
So
Shiano was a rising
Bill
star
can stay
on
at Penn
that
State for 10 years and make $30+ million in salary. You roll the dice and pick the wrong one of these, and you get fired after 2 or 3 years. Then you start over from the coordinator level again.
Yeah, but there's certainly something special about the National Football League.
Absolutely.
And I couldn't blame anybody who had an opportunity, let alone a premier opportunity. And I don't think any Penn State fan would really begrudge that. You know, you'd hope you get a little bit more than 2 years out of him, but he got here and didn't sign up for a lot of things that happened along the way. To me, it'd be great if he stayed at least another year with Hackenberg and maybe 2. But you know, I think that this has been a very unique situation, and I think he's obviously. The program's in a lot better shape right now than when he walked into it.
No doubt about it. I agree with all of that. I would say that the Texans and the Lions are the 2 spots that Penn State fans need to keep an eye on. The Texans interviewed Lovie Smith today on Thursday. I don't think the Giants opens up, so we're going to be dealing with this speculation for the next 2 or 3 weeks because the season's not over, and it still is going to take some time for all of this process to play out. So there's going to be a lot of speculation for a while.
Yeah, and if you're some of these teams, and Bill O'Brien gets a job and does a good job, he's still going to be speculated upon when some of the marquee Eastern jobs open.
Absolutely. All right, for Neil Rudel, I'm Corey Geiger, Judd Manning on our video. Happy holidays, everyone.